Hi, and welcome to another episode of 5 Minute Photography. This week we're going to be talking about the camera. So basically, what is a camera? A camera, for the most part, is nothing more than a box that's sealed up so that light can't get in until you're ready for light to get in. In fact, this box pretty much was cameras in the early days. They would take generally a wooden box. It would have a very small hole in the front end. In the early days, they didn't even use lenses on them. They'd put a small hole in the end of it. They'd have a sheet of film or a plate of glass with a photosensitive coating on it in the back of the box, and they would uncover the hole, let it sit for sometimes tens of minutes, probably even in some cases hours, cover the hole up, take the whole box into a room, take the glass plate out, and then process it in chemicals, and they would come up with essentially the first very crude photographs. From that, they moved on to attaching lenses to the boxes so that they could have a little bit more control over the focus and the quality of the images. The coatings on the film or the glass plates improved so that they were more sensitive to light. They didn't have to wait as long while they were taking the pictures. And eventually they got to a point where the glass plates that they were using could be changed out of the boxes pretty quick. Well, they actually started going to the big cameras that had the big accordions on them, which is how they moved the lens frontwards and backwards to focus on whatever it is they were taking the picture of. Now, those were, in some cases, plates of glass as large as 16 by 20 inches. 8 by 10 inches was, and in some places still is, pretty common, and then down to a 4 by 5 inch plate of glass that they used for that. Then they invented a film, which was a sheet of film as we know it today. Eventually they shrunk that down to the films which were 120 for medium format cameras, 35 millimeter for 35 millimeter cameras as we know them today. And film pretty much was the medium going up until the early to mid 1990s, when the first digital cameras really started to come on the market, and those were pretty crude cameras at the time. Very low resolution, the picture quality wasn't that great. The first one I ever used was over in Bosnia, and it was a hybrid of a Nikon and a Kodak camera. Didn't have memory cards. All of the memory was stored in the camera. You could take the pictures. I think we could get somewhere in the order of 50 pictures. They were only black and white. They were less than a megapixel in size, and we would have to come back and we would have to download all of the images off of the camera in order to do anything with them, and the quality was pretty bad compared to what we have today. But for us, being able to have photographs instantly that we could transmit back and forth, to the other side of the world, that was a pretty big thing for us. We all figured that digital would be a pretty big player in photography. I don't think most of us realized how quickly it was going to become a player and just how good the quality was going to get and how fast. Now digital photography, we take the picture and the picture's there. You've got it on your camera, or on your phone, you can send it instantly, put it on Instagram, you can email it, whatever. There was a time when this type of camera was what you had for instant photography, and essentially it was a light type box just like this. You had the bellows here, and this is how you adjusted your focus. You didn't even look through the lens, you looked through a little viewfinder, and the images would come together. It would be two separate images, and when they came together, that told you that your picture should be in focus. And your film, actually sheets of film, went into the back right here, and when you took the picture, you pulled a strip out, and that was your photograph. It would take normally 4 to 5 minutes to process, depending on whether it was color or black and white. And then in the end, you peel it apart. There was your photograph. You had a coating that you put on the photograph to preserve it so that it didn't fade, because the paper was still sensitive to light and would fade. And in some cases, you could actually take the piece that you separated and you could take it into the darkroom and make more prints off of it, but they weren't the greatest quality, and the negative didn't last that long. But this was basically the instant camera of its day compared to what we have now. Then we came into the modern day point and shoot cameras, which were basically little cameras like this that are a digital camera. They've got your screen, the flip out, you take your picture, it goes onto a card, you pop it in your computer. And of course the camera that probably most people watching this are interested in were the digital single lens reflex, or DSLRs. And that's a camera that has all of the features that you had on a 35mm professional camera, but most importantly, you can change the lenses out. You can take this lens off, put another lens on, so that you can use it for taking photographs of things far away, taking photographs of things close up. Gives you a lot more creative capability, and also lets you expand the function of your camera, because there's just so many variables that you can change out on it. And again, these use cards to store the pictures on. You can take the card out, you can put it on your computer, and once it's there, you can do just a ton of things with it to improve the photographs. So that basically is the camera, starting from essentially nothing more than a box with a hole in it, until we're at the point now where we've got high-end digital cameras that can take pictures and send pictures around the world in a matter of seconds. So thanks again for watching, and next week we're going to get a little bit more into the features of the camera and how they work.